weeks back, I debated a dairy farmer. He agreed to debate, which dairy farmers don't usually do, but he ended the conversation quite unhappy. He no longer wanted to have the recording go out. I was quite bothered by this. I was unsure what to do. I did feel like it was a total inconsideration of my time for him to agree to have this debate. It kind of seemed to not go very well in even his view, because he ended up biting a load of bullets, and I disbelieved him when he was talking about how his cows experienced no grief when their children were torn away from them. So it ends on not the greatest of terms, and it feels like he's just throwing a tantrum. But I'll respect his identity in that I'll pitch shift both of us. I'm sorry for the voices, and I don't really have time to just pitch shift him and not myself. And sorry for the glitches sometimes in my voice, but I still think it's something you'll be able to hear. But yeah, I'm going to take away all identifying features. But I want people to see the horrific lengths dairy farmers go in order to justify their behaviour. And this is why it's my suspicion that when I invite dairy farmers to debate, usually they decline.
Okay. I will start this if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So for context, you commented on one of my TikTok videos. I think it was a skit or something.
Yeah.
And what caught my attention was that you said, don't worry about animal abuse on farms. It doesn't happen. Just make sure you buy from local farmers. And then that prompted my attention, and I wanted to kind of discuss, I think we came to the agreement of you taking the pro position, either con of the existing dairy farms and maybe beef farming as well. So I'd like to go in that sort of direction, and you have some sort of PowerPoint that I can share on the screen.
Yeah, and I have those quotes of comments and the quote from your video and my comment on this PowerPoint as well, which I'll cover first.
Okay, yeah, so I guess obviously my skit was, if I remember what the video was, I think it was this skit talking about how, I don't want, I do these myriad of things, my body, my choice sort of thing. I could smoke, I could drink, everything like that. And a funny observation is that then as soon as you go vegan, people are like, oh, that's so unhealthy and everything like that. But I'm supposing what maybe triggered a response in you was the fact that I said I don't agree with animals being exploited and abused. I think those were the words in the skit, yeah. So that compelled you to then make the comment that you did, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would be your argument then? I guess you want to share your PowerPoint. Go ahead.
Well, just for context, I work on a dairy farm. I've agreed to do this discussion on whether or not farms abuse animals, and these are my main talking points. Can you actually see my mouse there, actually?
I can't see your cursor now.
Oh, okay, right, that's fine. So, the milking itself, the use of AI, separation of calves, use of milk replacer, and dehorning, and the two big ones being milking itself and the use of AI. So, here's the quote from your video. I don't agree with animals being used. I don't want them to be abused, tortured. I'm gonna go vegan. Well, it's one thing to claim that the meat industry does any of these. It's kind of ridiculous to say that non-meat-based industries do as well. You've made a claim that farmers...
Can you expand that non-meat-based industries do as well? Can you just expand on that?
Yeah, so that would be stuff like the dairy industry, honey, big thing, other just the non-meat element.
Okay, non-eat meat, but animal use. Yeah, okay, yeah. I see.
You've made a claim that farmers abuse and torture animals. The burden of proof is on you to back these claims. As a content creator, it is your responsibility to create or to not create misleading content. Sorry, I can't actually see all my PowerPoint. Larger accounts have made similar claims. This can mislead thousands into believing these lies. And, it spawns this cycle of vegans see vegan videos which fuel their ideas. Is there anything you want to add to that, or...?
Let me have a look at everything like that. Sorry, I'm going to take notes. So you believe it's misleading for me as a content creator to say that something like the dairy industry, for example, is abuse?
Yeah.
So just to check, what do you think abuse means? What do you take it to mean?
I think I've got, yeah, signs of abuse in cows. Sunken eyes, dull coat, drippy ears, rapid condition loss, which is simply weight loss. So these are the signs of abuse in animals. Or am I misunderstanding the question?
I understand you've taken that to mean what I'm asking is what would abuse look like to a cow? I'm asking you
Yeah.
what abuse means generally.
Well,
you?
to generally to hurt others,
Mhm.
just broadly.
So would you say to harm others would
Yeah,
encapsulate
yeah,
that as
sure.
well? So I agree. Obviously, there's quite a few uses of abuse that I would say would be applicable to what the dairy industry is. But just to double check, what did you just say so I don't get it wrong? About you.
So, my
To
definition of
harm, to
abuse.
harm. Was that correct?
Oh, yeah, to harm. Yeah.
So I think it's inherently harmful to premeditate a system whereby breed animals into existence, collectively breed them to have specific traits that you'd like, say, to kind of produce milk for you or something to that endeavor, and take babies away. And then when you no longer see them producing for you, something that you decided as a product, you end their life prematurely. I would say that's inherently.
Right. Well, I can. Most of that I'm going to talk about in this PowerPoint. The only thing is the breeding of explicit traits, so produce more milk, and then the slaughter part, because that's just an argument of opinion. You know, you say it's immoral, I say it's not. It's kind of a conversation that will just go nowhere. So I'll
Well,
talk about that at the end if you want, but I'm focusing in more about the actual raising of the animals and everything before slaughter.
well, just to double check, you said it's a case of opinion. Do you believe that if I did that to a human being, for example, would that be abusive?
No, not necessarily.
Don't think so. You think, what do you think it would be then? Am I using like abusive wrongly there to say I have a human, for example, I have this woman, I premeditating, I'm going to take her babies away from her, probably artificially inseminate her. I'm then going to take her baby away. I'm going to use her body for a product that I would like, and then I'm going to kill her when she doesn't make it anymore. Don't think any of that that scenario would be abusive to her.
Right, there's a lot you've said there. I'm going to go over separation, I'm going to go over artificial insemination.
You know,
I can answer
it's
your
fine.
claim about slaughter, but I'm going to separate it now if you want me to. If you want
No,
me to
so
cover
just
artificial
before
insemination
we
and separation first, I can do that.
just before we get to that, I just want to say in this hypothetical, it doesn't really matter why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for me though, right? At the end of the day, I'm doing it to produce something, take a product from her. No matter the intricacy of why I'm maybe doing it, maybe I'm doing it so she lives longer, or maybe something's less painful for her. But would you say that's inherently abusive to do that?
For all of those or just slaughter?
All of those, and then I kill her. So all of the entire process, just the idea of me doing that process, is any part of that abuse?
Not inherently, because, right, as I'll get into, the cows don't experience stress. They obviously don't see it as abuse, which I'll get to, but for the slaughter part, you are humanely killing them. It's not abuse, it's killing, which, again, that's a separate issue. Is it okay to kill an animal to feed a human?
So just to be clear, so I humanely kill this woman.
Yep.
She doesn't know it's happening. She doesn't know why I'm doing it or anything like that. Is it still abusive even if she doesn't really understand?
Again, it's not abusive, that's not the exact word I'd say, because you're not directly hurting her, but you are killing her.
You
If
don't think
that's a
it would be.
separate issue you want to debate on, well, that's just philosophy. It's a big moral question of if you're stranded on an island and there's someone else there, could you kill them and eat them to live yourself?
So
You
just
know,
to
it's
be careful when you say not hurting her, we are harming her though, right?
well, for abuse, I'd say like hurting harming, but not necessarily killing. That's a separate thing.
So it would be abusive then because we're harming her, aren't we?
No, we're killing her.
No. Before that, I've premeditated, artificially inseminated her. I've taken her babies away from her, separated them. For whatever reason, I've done it. But I've done it so she'll produce milk. I can use that milk and then I'll kill her. Is any of that harmful to her?
No, I will get into artificial insemination and separation in this PowerPoint if you want me to.
No, let's just stay streamlined first. We'll get into these things and why they happen for sure. But I just want to understand, if we have that context, regardless of why I'm doing it, is anything there abusive to or harmful? So is anything harmful?
If she experienced stress and pain, then yes, but if not, then no. It's not inherently, but it can be.
So as long as you're using someone, human being, as long as if they're not stressed, they're not in pain, but you haven't like garnered consent or anything, I would say that's not harmful. There's nothing harmful.
Well, the problem is you're comparing humans to animals. Humans can give verbal consent. Animals can't, so we have to get consent otherwise through their actions.
Yeah,
And
so
can
we
observe those
can't
actions and
actually.
see-
I would argue we can't really get consent from animals, so we have to, enact guardianship. But hang on, I'm comparing humans to animals because, in my view, there's no morally significant difference between them that would justify doing these things to them. And do you think there's some sort of morally significant difference between them and us that would justify putting them in this context and it not being harmful?
Well, yeah, we give them a lot of benefits. We give them free healthcare, so it's a supportive system. I'm not trying to argue with you that killing the animal is okay, but specifically, you've said vegan. So again, it's one thing to say the meat industry does this. It's one thing to say that the non-meat-based industries do this.
Okay, just to be clear, in the UK, we get free healthcare, right? So is it then
Yeah.
justified to farm all the human women, or like anyone who's going to produce for us in any way? Is it justified morally to do that to them because they get free healthcare?
You are aware most people work, yes? We contribute to society.
Yeah.
So what's your issue here? We are taking from people. We tax them. Like,
Do you think that it's analogous to tax people versus artificially inseminate them, take their babies away from them, kill them when they know something that we take from them? Would you say that's analogous?
hang on, you're lumping too many things together. Do you want to talk about artificial insemination? Do you want to talk about separation? Or do you want to talk about slaughter?
I want to talk
Pick
about this in a
one,
minute.
and I will talk about it.
I want to talk about this in a minute. We're just at a crossroads here because I'm trying to find out what you think is a morally significant difference between a cow and a human. And so far, you've said free healthcare, but there are humans who get free healthcare. So this is why I need to find out first, and this is what I said about in the emails. Like, you're taking the pro position, I'm taking the con. We're arguing about the existence. My problem is the fact it exists in the first place. I would not accept it in the human context. I don't think you would either. So I'm trying to work out why it's justified for you in the cow context.
Again, I say this is a moral standpoint that's not going to go anywhere. You say cows are equal to humans.
No, sorry, can I
no,
just
they're
say,
not.
I don't even necessarily have to take the position that a cow and a human being are completely equal. What I have stated, there's no morally significant difference that would justify putting.
Right, but as I'm explaining, I want to talk about the before slaughter process. If you want to talk about that afterwards, I'm not interested in that.
So
Because you're saying that farms abuse and torture animals on farms.
Yeah, and as you've said, the burden of proof is on me in that case. And I'm telling you, because there's no morally significant between them and us, I wouldn't accept it in the human context. So I therefore don't accept it in the cow context. I'm asking you to contest this, see if you disagree with me, and then explain why. This is why we're where we are right now.
So you want me to explain to you why I see a cow different from a human?
No, because they have
Or in the
hooves.
in the morality of killing them, so to speak. The
Yeah,
difference in
I want
morality.
to know the morally relevant difference.
Well, simply put, we don't exactly just kill them when they become unprofitable. That's not really true. We kill them when they get to an old age, when they have a relatively lower quality of life. So it'd be more equivalent to killing a person when they're in relative old age, right? But more so, just intelligent thought as well. Like, just compare a cow to a human in terms of thought. Completely night and day difference. But as well as that, in the wild, they get hunted and killed by diseases, and we prevent those diseases. And we only kill them to benefit our species, but they're going to die anyway.
Okay, so we've got species benefit, they get hunted in the wild, intelligence, and we kill them when they're old.
Yeah.
So let's go first with the species benefit. That would have to be actually substantiated. Make an argument that it's not beneficial to have these industries. They may have an environmental impact that's not beneficial to the world at large. So I'd like to see evidence of that first. But before we do that, sorry. Obviously, if we were out in the wild, we'd get hunted too and get diseases. So that's not a difference. We kill them when they're of old age. Can you just tell me when you kill or send a dairy cow off to be killed versus how their natural lifespan would be? Just to be clear.
Well, hang on for a minute. I've asked you for your talking points in email, and I've told you my talking points. And I asked you, is there anything else you want to talk about? And you haven't talked about it. You haven't told me anything, so I can't prepare information. So
I said I'd be talking about the dairy industry and being a con of the existence itself, and I said we'd get into applied ethics because that's where it goes. So I'm talking about applied ethics now. And I'm talking about the intricacies. You've told me you kill them at old age. So we're literally talking about a process within the dairy industry right now, right? When do you send them off to be killed versus what's their natural lifespan? That's directly applicable to the dairy industry, right?
we kill them roughly 10 years old.
10 years? And how old is their natural lifespan?
About 20-ish years.
20-ish. So really, we'd be killing a human not at old age, we'd be killing them in their 40s. Okay. So,
No, closer to the 50s, 60s, mid-50s.
well, I think the average lifespan of a human male, for example, is 80. That's what I'm going with. So half of that can be 40. That's why I'm taking it there. The lifespan might have changed since I saw. But we don't, that's not what I was asking for. I was asking for an intrinsic difference within them. And you did give one, you gave intelligence. Now, it is to be the case, right, that humans don't have an equal level of intelligence. So, just to be clear that we're consistent, if there is a human who has exceedingly low intelligence, they have a low IQ, would you say it's any more justified to do exactly the things we do to dairy cows or beef cows?
You're comparing apples to oranges here. Even in the lowest of lowest mental disabilities, humans are so vastly more intelligent than cows. It is night and day difference in intelligence.
Do you have evidence for
Pardon?
Do you have evidence for
that? No. Do you think cows are smarter than people with mental disabilities?
It depends what.
Do you have evidence for that?
It depends what mental disability someone might have, but we understand that some mental conditions can lead to low IQs to the point where someone can't do things that apparently other animals can't do either. We've measured intelligence of animals like pigs, and if you look at, there's a paper called Psychology of Cows. Cows are considered quite intelligent animals, experiencing things such as emotional contagion. So they seem to be quite intelligent. Now, just take it to be the case. Say you do measure intelligence, we get this like IQ tester, and we understand a cow to be of equal intelligence to a given human being. Would you say then that human can be farmed the way a cow would be, and it would be morally justified in your view?
Hypothetically, if we had a human that dumb, then technically yes, but on a just a emotional standpoint, no.
So when you say emotional standpoint, you mean kind of for your emotional benefit? You don't like the idea of that happening?
It's much more of a point of like we don't eat human product. Just generally that's off-putting to us, so it just wouldn't really be beneficial.
Okay, so say for example, you had someone with a mental condition and their IQ was low, and you measured it, and the cow had the equal IQ. Say someone like Jeffrey Dahmer came along and they were like, I don't find that off-putting at all. I would love that human flesh. Would you say, oh yeah, we've got the market here, and we'll send you this corpse, and you can eat that meat, and that would be fine morally in your view?
Well, but again, I said technically yes, but from a moral standpoint, no, because it's a human.
Okay, so we're stuck again because there's got to be something it's an inconsistency. You said intelligence is the trait that means it's justified to do this to cows. That's the morally significant difference. So we've removed that from the human context, and you're going no because they're human.
Again, I said this argument's not going to go anywhere because you're just going to say, I don't see a difference in killing a cow between killing a human, where I say I do.
Yeah, and what's the reason? So far you
Because
said
cows aren't
intelligence.
humans. That's simply it. Again, I don't have a problem with you don't want to eat meat, but you've specifically said vegan. That implies that implies dairy, milk. You have a problem with milk.
Absolutely. Because again, what is it we're struggling? Like, I can say right now, I don't take a plant to be sentient. There's the morally significant difference. They're not sentient, therefore, there's no moral problem with me consuming the body of a plant. So I can name that right now. But you've so far said intelligence, and then I've taken intelligence away in the human context, said it's not that. So I'm just trying to find out why. Look at a cow and go, yeah, I can take from you, I can use you, and I can send you off to the slaughterhouse. I'm trying to understand what that is, because when I look at a cow, I understand that they experience these things like emotional condition. They aren't, we greatly underestimated them. They are sentient beings, and I shouldn't exploit them, use them, or kill them. And so we're at a disagreement here, trying to work out why.
Right, well, I want to talk about the dairy industry and milking. So, hypothetically, if you made it illegal to kill dairy cows, farmers had to keep them for the entirety of their lifespan and just let them die of old age, would you still have an issue with milk?
Absolutely, because they're being used, exploited,
Okay,
modified.
Grant. Let's go with this idea. Let's go with this idea that the actual conversation we're having is it still immoral if we stopped killing cows? Let's continue, because this is an actual progressive conversation then, that the dairy industry, milking, isn't abusive. Can we do that?
We can try, but I feel like we're going to get caught up again on trying to work out your fundamental view on why it's justified to exploit a cow. We're going to probably trip up a couple of times. And this is why I said in the email, we're going to talk about ethics.
Okay, that's grand. We'll continue on. So the signs of abuse in animals, for physical abuse: sunken eyes, dull coats, droopy ears, rapid weight loss. There's sunken eyes, droopy ears. Don't worry about this the comment I made. As I will showcase, abuse on farms is greatly exaggerated. Areas of abuse are often misunderstood or has vital context removed. Physical abuse worsens quality of meat, thus lowering the profit. Emotional or mental abuse leaves animals not eating, therefore less meat, therefore less profit. What businessman ruins their product to get less profit? So in this, I'm talking specifically exploitation and abusive, ignoring the killing process.
Okay. Do you want me to comment on that?
If you want to.
Well, you said make sure you buy from local farmers, and I'm assuming by that you mean kind of like free range, small farmers, right?
Yeah, just source your farms.
Yeah, like know that they're, kind of maybe I remember going to one where I could see the animals, and then next to it was a butcher shop. I obviously never understood that, so I'm assuming that's what you buy, a local farm. But how would you then explain like a factory farm, right? They have many animals there. They are maximizing the profits by producing animals. Do you have a problem with factory farming?
To an extent, yes, if you can show signs of abuse, but as I'll go into, it's kind of, you get this similarity of animals, when abused, make less money.
Okay. I'm not sure if I would agree because when I look at a factory farm, obviously when it comes to, thousands of animals in these places, they get neglected even more. Many end up dying. You see like lists of the number of animals who remain on the and yeah, it's just horrible conditions that you would, I imagine, agree to. And yeah, that is them completely being neglected, and it's a very profitable industry, and it's gonna produce more profit than a smallholder farm, right?
Well, for sheer quantity, sure,
Yeah,
but if you have an issue with them neglecting animals, laws, put in place laws that prohibit such practices of, if you said thousands of animals in
yeah, it
cramped
depends.
spaces.
Like chickens, for example, for the poultry farming. Yeah, there'll be thousands in sheds, right, for these factory
Yeah,
farms.
in small cages. Yeah, you could just simply say, introduce a law, no small pens, they have to have this much land per animal, you know?
I mean, if you give them the land that thousands of animals would so desire, that wouldn't be neglectful, lacking stimulation, or something to that degree, it wouldn't really be a factory farm. It would just be a massive field, right? Like a massive field.
Yeah, sure, so what's your issue?
Well, the very nature of this factory farm is going to be negligent. So I disagree that it's not profitable to
But
neglect animals.
hang on a minute. Let's say we introduce a law that says if you have X amount of chickens, you need a corresponding X amount of land. You said that factory farms would then just become giant fields.
Mhm.
What is your issue with that happening?
I don't think we would have even space for that. But my issue is that it's still negligent. Because, say for example, I gave birth to a human being, and you'd hope I'd give birth to a human being. Hey, I had this human being, and I knew that with this human, after treating them so well for a few years, I was going to kill them and put them in a stew. By nature, that would be like abusive, negligent of me. It would just be a bad, harmful practice for that child, wouldn't it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so what I'm arguing is by design, this is a negligent thing. It doesn't consider the animals. It is maybe even hateful of animals, like just so inconsiderate of them. I can see it as nothing but hatred sometimes. So that's why I say, yeah, even if you give them all the space in the world, I'm going to send this child to the slaughterhouse when I want to, and I know I'm going to do it, and that was their purpose that I assigned to them. You know?
So again, your issue isn't then they're being used, abused, and tortured, it's that they're ultimately killed.
No,
Yep.
no, because even say for example, I did everything in the dairy industry that happens, and I did it to a human, but then I let them go. I let them go free. I was like, oh, it's been 5 years. You're not producing as much as I want anymore. I'll just let you go, and you can go live out your life. I've still done something horrifically abusive. So I have a problem with it fundamentally. I've exploited them. Veganism is a doctrine against exploitation, not killing.
Okay, so you're saying that if this human went through the same conditions and was just let go after a while,
Mhm.
that's still abusive.
Absolutely. Yeah. Would you
Okay,
not?
but as I'm going to showcase with these processes, it's not abusive. So can I continue on?
Absolutely.
So just continuation of this, but we've discussed it. What businessman wants to ruin their product to get less money? He'd want to make his product very good to make a load of money. What farmer would want to abuse their animals to get less money? He'd want them to be happy to get a lot of money. Uh, just basics of, I suppose, more generally, but not specifically to veganism. If you set off on a witch hunt, you'll find a witch. Uh, Basically, just saying if you look for abuse, if you try to find it, you'll find it. You'll cherry pick the very specific parts of bad abuse. Is it fair for me to claim that all the majority or even half of the parents of the world abuse their children because I can find evidence of child abuse? But I don't think that's really relevant for what's been said yet, so I'll just move on.
That is relevant, if you don't mind.
Okay.
If I did what is done to a cow in the dairy industry, a child, it would just be abusive. Every time, right?
Do you mean for the rough estimated age?
Yeah, just
Like,
put it in the
you're not
context of
artificially inseminating
give
child.
it the context of I raise them, I wait until they're fertile, then I artificially inseminate them, then I take their babies away, and then when they stop producing milk for me, I let them free even, or I kill them. In either of those contexts, no matter what, that would just be fundamentally abusive, right?
It would only be abusive because we're talking about humans who are intelligent enough to give verbal consent.
So for humans who aren't intelligent enough to give verbal consent, it would be morally justified in your.
Well, you see, they'd be able to, as I'll briefly go into a minute, they'd be able to give non-direct verbal consent through their actions.
No, not necessarily. I've literally worked in hospitals, right, as a healthcare assistant. I have had patients who were not able by any form, because of the condition that they had, to give any form of consent. They couldn't even twitch. There was no sign whatsoever. I was looking for that. Obviously when you're cleaning patients and stuff, you don't want them to be uncomfortable. So you're looking for signs of like, are you okay with me? Like,
so then they cannot give anything whatsoever. So that's excluded because cows can give consent through their actions.
So you think a dog can give consent to be artificially inseminated?
Yes.
So you're for bestiality, you don't mind as long as they give something?
No, that is completely different. Those are two separate things.
So if I put my hand up a dog's anus and then put a rod in their cervix, it's not some sort of bestiality in any way whatsoever?
Well, first of all, you wouldn't be able to fit your arm. That would be abusive and bad, but cows are different because they're
Say
bigger.
if I had a really tiny arm.
Yeah, sure, fair enough.
So that wouldn't...
that would be artificial insemination.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be bestiality in any...
Nope.
Why is that?
Because it's not. Like, you're not putting your reproductive organs into the dog.
I'm pretty sure you don't have to put your reproductive organs into the dog for it to be bestiality. I think you're using their reproductive organs in some way or touching them, it's still bestiality.
Right, well, that's your opinion. Like, we've separated it into two different groups. Artificial inseminations over here with just the medical process. Bestiality is over here with your personal pleasure. And you're just saying, well, I think both of them are the same. Well, fundamentally, they're not.
Just to be clear, a medical process is for the benefit of the patient, right?
Generally, yes, but not always.
Can you think of a context where a medical context, where the benefit of the patient not present, and it's like the benefit of the person doing
it? Sure, a doctor wants to have a child with a woman and doesn't want to have sex. There you go. Artificial insemination.
But that would be the benefit of them having the child. Like, the woman also want the child, so it's benefiting her, right?
And cows also want children.
So, just to be clear, so I could commit bestiality as long as I make sure after the fact. So wait, I could commit bestiality on the dog as long as they have children out of it?
No. Because again, artificial insemination is not bestiality. Those are two different things.
You're saying, I'm looking, look, we keep going in circles. Let's just be clear. We're looking for an example of something that is a medical practice, not for the benefit of the patient, but the benefit of the person doing it.
AI is for the benefit of the cow.
How?
Because cows want to have calves,
Do they
And
want them
that's
to be
just been
taken away
had.
from them?
Pardon?
So they want to have children, yeah?
Yeah.
So do they want them to be taken away from them?
Not fully necessarily, but we take them away for the children's safety.
What do you mean?
Well, I can get into it, but that's one of my last talking points, so
So
do you want
just
to
to
leave
be
do
clear,
you wanna put a pin in that and come back to it later? Or
no, I think this would be really good actually. So you're saying it's not bestiality because it's benefiting the cow because they really want children
Yep.
and they don't want the children to be taken away from them. So that's not benefiting them. You're saying it's benefiting the calf to be taken away from their mother because it's somehow dangerous to the baby.
Yeah.
So let's be clear, we still haven't found something that's for the benefit of the cow because the thing that she's getting is being taken away from her, right? So she's not getting a benefit. So we still need to find something there, but we'll keep that in mind and we'll go to why it's protecting the calf to take them away from their mother and then send them off to be killed in many cases, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you want me to get all the way down there, or do you wanna just go through the PowerPoint as is?
Whatever you prefer, really. Whatever's going to kind of address why it's for the safety of the calf.
Okay, I just prefer for simplicity to go through the PowerPoint bit by
Absolutely.
bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Just welfare of animals. It's mistreatment of any farmed animal is an offense. So it's freedom from hunger, freedom from discomfort, freedom from pain, freedom to express normal patterns of behavior, freedom of fear or distress. If you have an issue with farms and say, oh, well, farms do freedom to express normal patterns of behavior, farms infringe on that, then fucking go into laws and, rewrite them. That's it, like, that's how you actually do how you solve this issue you have. If you have an issue, you go to it at the law and force farmers to do it a certain way.
So you're against any sort of social justice movement that has used other avenues like media, evoking their, not evoking, using their rights to protest, things like that, outreach of sorts. You're against that. You just want any social justice movement to go to the law specific, so like Parliament or something like that.
Well, sorry, can you repeat that? Just
Yeah, so you're saying, look, if you have a problem, go to the law. So I'm guessing go to the government, you go to your council, talk to those people, right? So
yeah.
you would have an issue then with like protesting, outreach, using media to share your opinions. You have a problem with those things specifically?
No, but the problem is you're not actually voicing your problem. You just generalized, go vegan. When instead of just saying, here's a specific practice, here's the specific solution, we should do this solution instead.
I mean, I've definitely done that. Like, I've had this channel for 11 years, so I've done those things times, and I know many vegans who do exactly that. We go through precisely the problem. You're sat here talking to me right now. I took it to be that you were a dairy farmer and wanted to discuss with you the problems that I have with it. So I think, like, physically right in front of you, there's an example of someone doing more than saying go vegan.
But so far, all you've really said is, I have a problem with killing the animal at the end.
No, have you not been listening?
I have, yes.
So would you have heard me say maybe 2 or 3 times so far that even in the context where you don't kill the cow, you even asked me this? Would I be okay with it if, like, we set them free afterwards or you let them go or something like that? And I said no because I have a problem with exploitation. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but you haven't really made much of a case for that yet.
Well, I've so far said there's no morally significant that I can find between them and us. And so far, you haven't found one. That's my case.
But as I've said, I don't have an issue with AIing people.
Without their consent.
But we do get consent from cows.
No, but we've
No, but we
established.
do.
You already said that cows are so unintelligent that we can't get consent from them, right?
No, I said we couldn't get verbal consent from them.
So I can commit bestiality again, right? Because I can get consent from a dog if they look at me a certain way, showing that they're happy with it. I can commit bestiality, right?
I would say there's a legal issue with that, but morally, if the dog is fine, then fuck it, sure.
Okay, just to be sure, so we've got this. You are fine morally with bestiality of a dog.
Morally, but not legally.
Okay, legally. Is there a difference really for you?
About what?
So when you say this is legally wrong, you're just saying it's like descriptively people see it as wrong, but you morally, you personally don't have a problem with.
If the dog is completely fine with it.
See, here's where we disagree. I don't think you could get to a situation, and this is why I have a problem with bestiality, right? You can't actually fundamentally tell that they are like okay,
But
but
you
you can't
can.
go. Oh god, this is bad.
Do you want? I'm gonna just speed run over to AI just
Okay.
to prove my point. Alright, so the use of artificial insemination. This is the process of AI rods used to put the semen into the cow's reproductive organs and with a hand to guide it. Right. The rape argument. Vegans often criticize the use of AI since it's rape. What they fail to realize, or more accurately choose not to mention, is that the alternative, the bull, is literal rape. Do you want to add anything to that?
What do you mean? The alternative is literally rape. What do
It's rape.
So you know what happens to the bull, right? Can you go through that process? You know, collecting the semen from the bull. What do you do to the?
I'm not entirely sure because again, I didn't say I wanted to discuss that, and you never mentioned that you wanted to mention it, so I didn't look into that.
Well,
But I
like
believe
it's part of the dairy industry, isn't it? Like electroejaculation of males.
sure, but not really done on farms. It's done in special facilities.
But it's done for the dairy industry, right?
Right, sure.
Okay. So you don't take moral issue with a literally ejaculating animal that you can use their semen to artificially inseminate other animals.
But when it's beneficial for the species, then yeah, absolutely.
So if it's beneficial to the species of human being to electrically ejaculate them without garnering consent, wouldn't have a moral problem with that.
Let me put it this way. Let me actually explain what it is. Let's presume there's no way for a man to have consensual sex with a woman. He has to rape her. What I'm saying, it's okay to then take all men to forcefully ejaculate them because they can only rape because they can't have consensual sex, to then use AI to reproduce humans.
I'm saying in that world where only rape can occur, you don't reproduce.
So you just want extinction for animals?
If it means getting rapes, then I have a problem with that. Just because I wouldn't want to be raped to continue the species. I wouldn't want to do that. Would you like to be perpetually raped so that your species could continue?
No, that's why exactly I'm saying we don't let the bull in with the cows, generally speaking.
But we've established that context for that bull would be rape, right? Being electrically ejaculated, because it'd be rape in the human context.
Do you have an issue with raping rapists?
I don't know if I'm for that sort of punishment. I don't know if an eye for an eye, that sort of thing. That's a different road. I would prefer rehabilitative justice, but I'm not like I don't have a great understanding of criminology in that manner. So I don't really know what's best in that instance, but I would probably go with no, you shouldn't rape rapists, because if it's so bad to rape, you shouldn't be raping anyone.
However, we actually acknowledge that there's not actually a rapist with this forced ejaculation thing, and the bull generally doesn't mind.
How do you know?
Because I've fertility tested myself, the bull just kind of stands there.
So they've told you, yeah, I'm absolutely fine with this. You know,
Yeah,
there's rape
because they
victims
don't react.
there's rape victims who didn't react in the context.
They don't react.
Yeah, there's rape
Like,
human.
right, hang on.
God, no. This is what I was really worried about talking to a dairy farmer, is we'd get down the rape route and then you'd start making arguments that are really bad in the human context. There are rape victims that, out of fear, do not move, do not react. Like, and you're saying, oh, well, that would be consent, right?
I have proof that cows don't react like that, and I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah,
But can we agree
I'm
on
just
this?
saying. I'm just saying.
Okay, and
Can
we'll
you
get back to that in a
acknowledge?
minute,
Can
and
you
I'll prove that you're talking out of your arse.
Well, no. Can you acknowledge that there are human beings who just sit there and they are out of fear, they go still, that they're not responding? That would still be rape, right?
Completely irrelevant to cows.
Yeah,
and
but
I'll
it
get
would
to
still,
that in a minute.
in that context, it would still be rape, right?
In that context, yes, but I've
Exactly.
got proof for cows that they aren't doing that. They're not stressed, they're not abused, they're not anything like that during AI or fertility
But you
testing.
can't garner consent. This is the problem. I think we can tail this AI part, because you've said that bestiality of a dog would be morally fine in your, as long as they appear as if they're enjoying it. So I've got my understanding that we have a fundamental, completely different view there. So we can move on to a different practice in the dairy industry, because otherwise we're just gonna circle on this one.
No. We're focusing in on this because you're making the argument that AI is rape and there's no way to get consent when that is factually untrue.
Yeah, and
So-
I fundamentally, no matter what you show me, I'm gonna think non-human animals, we can't garner some sort of informed consent from them any way whatsoever. I don't care if you see an eye movement or anything like that that conveys they like it, because even if a dog enjoyed bestiality, I wouldn't be for it. So we have a fundamental stopping block here where I cannot agree with you. No matter what you say,
Okay.
the cow looks so happy, the cow's the happiest they've ever been, I'm going to say I have an issue with that. Especially
I'm going
when
to
we're
go
looking
back
at
to
the
the
outcome as
itself.
well. Especially when we're looking at the outcome as well. We've when we talked about the medical procedure, we were talking about how we could find an example of a medical procedure that wasn't beneficial to the individual. We still didn't find one. So, it's not a medical procedure. We are fully
It is.
artificially inseminating them for the purpose of our use. It's not benefiting them.
Right, cows can do this thing, right, where they just, for no reason, nothing wrong with their reproductive system, they just stop going in heat, right? That's a thing that happens. Most cows don't do that. So they actively want to have the calf.
Yeah, but the calf gets taken away, so it's not benefiting them, is it? If I want
And
to
that's
have
for the
a
benefit of the
baby,
calf.
if I want to have a baby, right, and I go to the IVF clinic and they're like, we can give you a baby, we're going to benefit you. But they take my baby away 5 minutes after I give birth to them. They have not given me a benefit, have they? They've in fact caused me problems, haven't they?
No, you just want to have the baby, right? You just want to give birth, right? And whoever you said, medical,
So you
whatever,
think
shit.
a cow, they just want to give birth, but fuck the calf after they've given birth. That's the only bit they're interested in.
Well, they can form a maternal bond. However, for the calf's safety, and I mean this, usually we separate, but some farms do not.
Well, if they're not separating them and they're leaving them for longer before they kill them or eventually separate them, they are causing more harm to the cow because they've had longer time to actually bond with their baby. So that would be even worse.
Right, so you're agreeing that immediate separation is better for the cow.
You've got 5 minutes, but the problem is the whole process of stealing their baby away is a problem. If I
Pardon,
made
5 minutes?
Hmm?
Pardon, 5 minutes?
Yeah, if you look at the psychology of cows, when they did a literature review of everything that has been so far posted about cows, they surveyed and concluded that you've got about a 5-minute window before the bonding happens properly. But unfortunately, it could well be the case that, say in the human context, because they're mammals as well, there's bonding happening and hormones happening that cause a bond before they've even given birth. So even the 5-minute window, I would potentially.
Do you want me to skip over to separation of calves, or can I go from milking and eventually get there?
So with the separation of cows, we can skip if you'd like, because I fundamentally think that that's a problem and that's not a benefit to the cow to have their babies taken away. And if it's for the safety of a calf, then why are you bringing them into a system where you're going to kill them? I'm not keeping someone safe if in a month, 3 months, or 10 years, I know I'm going to kill them.
Hang on, it won't let me out of this fucking thing. There we go. Okay. Separating calves. It is a lie and major misconception that farms separate calves for profit. This idea becomes ridiculous under basic scrutiny. So, do you want to discuss the profit argument? Or
Well, I don't discuss what I just said. Do you remember what I just said?
About the benefit of the calf, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I'd be protecting an individual if I'm bringing them into a situation forcibly whereby in a month, 3 months, 10 years, perhaps, depending on what kind of cow that they are. Like, are they a free martin calf? Are they a bobby calf? Are they, a calf that I will use as a dairy cow myself? Like, I'm not protecting them, am I? If I know I'm going to send them to the house in some way or not, right?
No, but you are.
So, if I had a human that had a baby in, say, 3 months, a month, or 10 years, I don't know which one, but I know I'm going to do it at one of those times, I'm going to send her to the slaughterhouse. Am I protecting or have I protected that child?
You've proceededly just walked over me, ignored my points. Like, I'm here to talk about the dairy industry. I've already said, presume we don't slaughter them, and you're just continuously going back to slaughter. Oh, it's not justified because we eventually slaughter them.
And no, so I was just talking about in that. No, I was just talking.
Yeah.
Hang on, I was just talking about in that context. Like, fine. Say for example, with that human, if you don't like the killing part, right? If I am going to, I know, artificially inseminate her, because the reason I brought up the calves is because you send them off to be killed, right? Many of them. But in the context, say I keep them as my dairy provider, am I protecting that individual if I'm artificially inseminating them, taking their babies away from them, using them for their milk? Am I protecting?
Okay, so we're going back to artificial insemination. Okay.
Okay, let's take it out. Take it out then. If I bring them into existence, take their babies away from them, and I know I'm going to do that, and I just perpetually take them, and am I protecting them by doing that?
Yeah.
I'm protecting someone by stealing their babies.
You're protecting the baby.
From what?
If I knew, right, you had a child, and I knew you were going to be a horrible mother, and you may kill it, I'm going to take that baby into a safer environment.
So there are human women and human men who kill their babies, right?
Yeah.
So in this context, I'm to assume that they might kill their baby, so I just steal them away.
No, it's not maybe, it's probably.
Can you demonstrate the probability statistically?
It's hard to tell because we do take them away, but in extreme cases, it could be 1 in 5.
So in extreme cases of poverty in the human context, like there will be child neglect, child abuse, child killing in the human context. In extreme cases, it could be a very similar number for all you know. Would I be protecting that baby from consuming? Looking at them and going, yeah, you're a low-income family where statistically this is more the case, so I'm going to steal your baby away from you, and I'm only doing it therefore to protect the baby. You'd say that?
Yes, absolutely.
So preemptively, I'm protecting them, even though I don't know that's going to happen.
So you're taking them from an environment where they're likely to be killed, they're susceptible to diseases, and removing them from said environment, protecting them. Like, that's not an issue. That's not an abuse. That's not torture.
So if I could find a demographic, say like poor demographic, and I just through looking at their statistics know that their children are more susceptible to child abuse, neglect of some form, I could just go to that demographic right now and I'd be morally justified to steal their child away.
Do you understand the idea of child protective services?
Yeah,
Is that not a concept?
Yeah, that's a legal proceeding, right? And they have to evaluate, and they don't just like premeditate. Usually, it's a case that there are things occurring, there are reports that take place. You take them away and look after them and put them in a situation that fully benefits them. Oh, and by the way, you don't do that thing where you kill them prematurely when you take them.
Again, this is because humans can give verbal consent, cows cannot.
What difference does that make in this context? Sorry, what are you trying to say?
Okay, so when we separate cows, we notice no problem with the cows, no detectable stress, no nothing.
So when you hear
Don't-
cows bellowing out for their babies, that's nothing.
Hang on, I've got it again. Right.
Do cows bellow out for their? Do they bellow out when their babies are separated from? Or are you denying that?
Partially, but it is exaggerated. So
No. Does it happen?
it sometimes happens, yes.
So what statistically are you saying? Like
don't-
sometimes you're saying like 20%. You're saying 10%, 2%.
I don't know the exact percentage. But anyway, here's a rough calving shed, right? Here's a cow calving, calf's going to be here for a day, cow's going to go back in here, so the cow can see the calf. Sometimes they're just let in the sick house, or calving house, right?
Hmm.
Then they go back to the parlor, as eventually separated, and we detect no stress and no bellowing. They're not yelling out after a day or two of in here, with the calf in here, which is what we do.
So you're telling me from this picture I'm supposed to understand that the majority don't bellow out for their children?
Because I'm jumping all around my PowerPoint.
Well, this is the problem. I'm looking at the psychology of cows, right? So let me try and see it. Find it now.
I mean, I've got a study here about stress and stress signs in cows and how we detect it without physical signs.
Cow mothers who are separated from their calves also say increased eye whites in addition to other behavioural signs of frustration. The eye white percentage significantly decreases when cows are reunited with their calves. Work data suggests that eye white percentage is an indicator of emotion, with eye whites indicating fear and frustration, less white associated with positive feelings. That's the eye whites. I'll just find the. I thought I had. All mother cows showed signs of distress, walking around, urine, vocalizing, butting, following separation from their calves. So, in this investigation from Milano, Maguire, they found that all of the mother cows, it depends on what the sample size was there, but it would be weird for it to be a rare occurrence, and then we're looking at like a literature displaying that all of the cows would do things like vocalize, which I'm synonymizing with bellowing.
I'm presuming that's full separation, however. Like, as in, not as in the cow's in a pen beside the calf.
They don't specify, but you're going to take them away, right? Well, how long are they there together before the calf is fully separated?
Depending on exact conditions, it can vary. For example, if we need the house for another cow that's calving, it's going to be cut a little short.
Mm-hmm.
But generally 2 days.
2 days.
And then they're in a house beside the calf. But they're not.
No, I'm talking about when they're fully separated. So maybe they go to the slaughterhouse, maybe they're sent to somewhere else to be used in some form, maybe they're sent to the auction. Like, how long before that can typically happen?
With the calf?
Mhm.
Right. So for females, depends on the farm layout. In mine, they're technically never really separated because there's always a house near where the cows are.
Mm-hmm. But for the males?
For the males, I don't know what the exact age is. I think it's about 4 months-ish.
4 months.
3 months, 2 months.
And what about like free Martin calves, for example?
Sorry, what's a free Martin calf?
You know when cow has like twins, and then there's the female who's likely not going to. So a lot of the time they'll be removed.
Oh, that would be like a year or so in.
Yeah. So I mean, this paper acknowledges.
Whenever they're pregnant, because we test that.
Yeah. Okay. So we acknowledge that there are ones who are going to be fully separated, and the literature that I'm looking at and interested in talks about how it's even worse for the cow when they are separated and the length is prolonged. So in those contexts, we're causing even more emotional harm to them. So it circles back to my, premise that it's fundamentally abusive.
Okay, well, you see, here's the thing. We can detect stress for physical things like the animals lose appetite, but we can also detect stress for rumination. We measure rumination. Whenever cows have issues, they have a decrease in rumination, and we detect none of these signs with the way we separate, because we measure it, and we just see nothing.
Like butting, like urinating abnormally, vocalizing, like bellowing. None of that happens.
Not in any major extent.
So 1 minute you're saying no, but then you're saying not majorly. So what do you mean? So like say I have 6 cows, they've had babies, their babies are taken away. Are you saying none of them would react negatively anyway?
So, with measuring rumination, we detect nothing in any of them, which is a sign of distress. For other things like increased urination, it's like, okay, maybe they might urinate a little excessively, but not much.
So have you got some sort of paper that demonstrates this? Because when I'm looking at an overview analysis of the literature on cows, they're saying the complete opposite. They're saying actually in all cases, the animal is showing signs of distress.
Well, I don't have an exact paper on that, but as I said, we measure rumination and we don't see anything like that. We don't detect any of that, really, in my farm. So,
well, of course, you would say that though, right? So if it was my interest to say, look, I have this farm of humans, and none of them seem stressed. Are you to believe me, or are you to understand that if you put them in situations where you take babies away from them, they're probably going to feel stress, right?
as a business model, it is bad to stress cows because cows produce less milk. We don't detect this loss in profit.
But they need to typically be pregnant or have given birth to be lactating, right?
Yes, and we don't detect stress when they're separated. We don't detect lower rumination. We don't detect decreased milk yield. We don't detect anything like that.
So you think that these like papers like reviewing how animals are stressed when their babies are taken away from them. So wait, just to be clear, do you understand that mammals have, on aggregate, maternal bond with their baby? Like a dog, dolphin, human, pig. Like you take it that they'll have babies and they'll have a bond with them.
They will build a bond, yes, and as farms and vets cite, reasons to separate is reduction in weaning distress by preventing the formation of a strong maternal bond.
But
So
the bond can
farmers
still.
and vets are disagreeing with you here.
But you don't fully separate them because they can see their babies, right? So they're still, in your view, they're still like interacting with them in some way, right?
Partially for a few days, yes.
Okay, so they're having a chance to develop a bond, right?
Theoretically, yes, they could
Yes.
develop a bond.
So then they're being taken away and it would cause distress on aggregate, right?
But we don't detect that distress.
I don't believe you for a hot minute.
Alright, fuck you then.